right, we're back with William Clark Green. So, William, you went to Tech for college.
Yeah, I went 2000. Well, I went to 2004. I went to South Plains, and then 2005 I transferred over to Tech and graduated in 2010. So it took me 6 years to graduate. But we toured for the last 2 years of my college education and met probably the biggest influences on my career through the Blue Light and through Tech, and it was a major part of my life. So I'm glad I decided to go to that school. I couldn't imagine my whole plan was to not go to college after high school, and I couldn't imagine if I would have went to trade school, and been done diesel. That's what I want to be, was a diesel mechanic, and I couldn't imagine what I would be doing now. I probably wouldn't be. I guarantee I would be doing music. So the whole reason I started playing music was distracting studies. So I started playing in bars, So free beer. As a Jack Emer said, he said, you start playing bars for free beer, and it's the truth, Right. And you're a college student, you have $20 for the week, Beer takes up a large portion of that one.
Yeah, exactly. So with big names like Pat Green, Wade Bowen, Josh Abbott, going to Tech, how did that affect you?
Well, Josh was my first. It was funny, man. When I met Josh, they were in a truck. They were taking 2 trucks to a gig, and they didn't even have a trailer. They were putting all their equipment in the bed of the truck, and they were driving all over across the state. And when I met him, he was doing Tuesday nights at Blue Light. And I was just turned 21, so I wouldn't even go into Blue Light yet because it's a 21 and up club. And whenever I was an agriculture economics major, and his drummer Drew Hurt was in my class, and I was thinking of starting a band. I'd done the acoustic thing for 3 years, just doing bars all around town and underage, of course. And I was thinking of starting a band, so I said, "Hey, can I come watch y'all's rehearsal?" One night. And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely, man. We're actually rehearsing tonight." So I went up there, sat in with them, and I met Josh. And like I said, this is before anything with them. And they were really cool. I just sat back, watched the rehearsal, learned a lot. And then Josh wanted me to play a song for him, and I played a song. It was "Wishing Well," which is the song we have. It's like, "I Need a Shot of Whiskey." And he was like, "Dude, that's great, man. You know what? We were getting too busy for my Tuesday gig at Blue Light." He played every Tuesday. He's like, "You should take it over."
Very cool.
And I was like, "Gig at Blue Light? Are you kidding me? Yeah, that'd be awesome." And that was it. It was and Charlie Shafter. That's how I met him. He was doing the Tuesdays too, and me and him played together just randomly through Josh. And then once we got into Blue Light, and I started doing the band thing, and then came out with my first record, and then Josh took off. Like freaking crazy fast. He's been helping us ever since day one.
Very cool.
He pays us to open more than anybody else does, and he got us hooked up with Larry Joe. He's been a continuous help. I really don't know where it'd be a lot more difficult without his friendship, for sure. He is definitely believed in us since day one, and he's been very generous, very kind. So. Anybody that wants to talk crap about Josh Abbott, I'll knock their ass out.
All right, deal. So with Josh and Wade and Pat, like you were just talking about, who else are some of your influences?
My biggest influence is William Ramsey. He's a guy. Have you ever heard that song by Lyle Lovett? That's Right, You're Not From Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, he co-wrote that with Lyle. He came out with one record in '78, and that's the only record he's ever came out with. His name's William Ramsey, and it was the first record that me and my dad agreed upon to mutually like. And I just wore his records out, and I always thought William Ramsey was a cool name, and I was like, man, William Clark Green would be kind of cool too, And so that's the reason, and he's the reason I started listening to country music. Before that, I was a BMX racer, and it was funny when we lived in the country. I was trying to be. I was the BMX racer, motocross, and then listening to freaking 9 Inch Nails and
Culture
shock. Yeah. And then when we moved to the city, I completely flip flopped. I started working on ranches
very cool.
But that's when the country music really hit, was during that move, and when I learned how to play acoustic guitar, and that was the record though. That was the record that turned me on, and it's an incredible record. I recommend anybody, if you can find it. It's a really hard record to find, but he's my number one influence for sure. And now being more familiarized with the business and meeting all these people that have just done incredible things musically, it's so hard not to be influenced by a lot of people. Even like I'm inspired by like Brian Keene. I mean, he's a fantastic songwriter. He's a good friend of mine. Like Ryan Beaver, man. Those guys are just great songwriters, and now my inspiration comes from a completely wide source as opposed to just Will Sound Ramsey, which where it started and will always be number one. But man, there's so much good music that I'm getting exposed to by being on the road 24/7. That it's just hard not to get influenced by because it's just so good. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So, is there any, I guess, rock and roll influences that you have?
Definitely. My dad is a huge rock and roll guy, and the funny thing is this next song that I'm gonna play is called "She Likes the Beatles," and my dad hates the Beatles, and we have a lot of rock and roll influence in our band. We are definitely less country than what Josh does and what Fowler does and Aaron Watson. We're definitely more on the Reckless Kelly side of the spectrum, live wise. Our records, we mix folk as much as we can into it, but that's not our primary force. Our primary force is electric guitar, and that has a lot to do with my band, who Jay is a humongous Rolling Stones fan, and Cameron as well, and Jay's girlfriend at the time was a humongous Beatles fan.
Very cool.
And they were in a fight one night, and he hung up the phone, and we were in Eastland, and we were drinking. And he hung up the phone, he slammed it down, and he goes, "She just likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones, and we're never going to agree on anything. It's just never going to work." And I was just like, ding, ding, ding. Freaking wrote it down, and I came up with this chorus for the song, and then I called my buddy Brian Keene to help me finish writing out the verses. And it's our next single. "She Likes the Beatles." It'll be out in a couple weeks.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So do you want to go ahead and play
I would
that
love
right
to.
now?
Yeah, I'd love to. That song I wrote with Brian Keene.
She likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones. She likes romantic movies, I like Indiana Jones. Yeah, she goes to church, and I stay at home. Oh, she likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones. We met by the river in the mid-morning light. She swears it was late afternoon. Well, she fell in love by the time it was night, but I didn't get until June. But not long after we said I do, she had the nerve to move in. Well, she painted the walls, she pinned up my dog, and she kicked out all of my friends. Well, she likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones. She likes romantic movies, I like Indiana Jones. Yeah, she goes to church, and I stay at home. Oh, she likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones. Well, she burns through money like I burn through smokes. She says that I need to quit, 'cause if I die from cancer in 25 years, she'll have to pay off the debt. But no, she don't think I'm funny, she don't laugh at my jokes. I could care less about all her shoes. Well, my parents both hate her, but it evens out, 'cause her parents both hate me too. She likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones. She likes romantic movies, I like Indiana Jones. Yeah, she goes to church, and I stay at home. Oh, she likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones. But she brings me coffee when I'm working late. She lifts me up when I'm low. She understands when I'm carrying weight that I just have to hold up alone. She's determined and honest, she's stubborn and strong, and I always know where she stands. So it never bugs me, she's always wrong. As long as she's wrong with her hand in my hand. She likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones. She likes romantic movies, I like Indiana Jones. Yeah, she goes to church, Well, I stay at home, oh, she likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones. She likes the Beatles, and I like the Stones.
Very cool.
Thanks, man.
Very cool. So, is that whole song true?
It's a combination of Brian Keene's wife, Rachel, who's our producer on our new album. It's a combination of their relationship and what I perceive Jay and his now ex-girlfriend's relationship was through one side of the phone conversation that I heard. But yeah, it was a fun song. I really typically don't write songs of that nature, partly because I'm a manic depressive person, and so it was fun to write a fun song that still had a lot of meaning too.
Yeah.
And that's really where my songwriting boils around is truth and meaning of my own personal troubles, strifes, and actually, you know, the good things that happen too. So it was cool to have a co-write. Co-writes aren't normally like that. You typically can't find a co-write and find some find 100% of yourself in the song, and that song I do. You know. So
I got you.